Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. In today's video, I'm going to be creating some laser cut Christmas decor using Creality's Falcon2 Pro 60-watt laser. The Creality Falcon2 Pro is a fully self-contained unit that is all about safety. It's very easy to put together, and this particular model has 3 different settings. You've got precise, normal and powerful. Now the precise setting is the 22-watt laser, the normal setting is the 40-watt, and the powerful switches it up to the 60-watt. So with just the press of a button, you can move between the different watts. Let's have a look at how the different watts compare. I'm cutting 3 circles on a speed of 301, power 100%, and 1 pass, but I'm switching it between the 22-watt, the 40-watt, and the 60-watt, and I'm cutting into a 20mm piece of pine wood. Now it can be a little bit tricky to see the depth of something on a piece of wood like this, so I had to improvise. I took a piece of paper and pushed it down into the cutting depth, and then I'm doing a line where the depth stops for each of the different cuts. So we've just done the 22-watt, we're doing the 40-watt now, and then I will take a piece of paper and do the same thing, just roughly measuring the depth that we were able to achieve with 1 pass. And here you can definitely see the contrast. It definitely gets a lot deeper when you go up by the watts. Obviously the 60-watt almost completely cut through that with 1 pass, and you can even see the difference in the width of the cuts themselves from the top view of the piece of wood there. Now let's get started on some Christmas crafts. So I bought this particular file from Etsy. I will link it in the description. I am going to have it on 75%, doing 2 passes. This is on the 60-watt setting, and it cut through this MDF like butter. It was so quick. It really only took about 1.5 passes, but as you can see, I'm about to take it out and it's already coming away. So it cut it very quickly, very efficiently. So I am now going to come in with a white chalk paint, and I'm going to be adding that paint onto my sled design. Now this particular look is going to be more of a sort of rustic feel. I'm not going for full coverage. I want some of that MDF to show underneath, and then after I did just 1 coat for this particular section, I added a red paint to the top section of the sled, so going for a 2-tone look. Once I finished with the sled, I moved on to the writing. I'm going to be painting the Merry Christmas text just with a plain black chalk paint. Again, not going for full coverage. I want a little bit of that wood tone peeking through underneath. When the paint was dry, I used some super glue on the back of the text to then adhere it to the sled itself. Now I want to have it sort of on an angle. I think that's a very fun look, so we're just going to have it angled, but obviously if you are going to give this a try, you could definitely have it be straight as well. I think this would look great on a front door, so I'm going to add some twine to the top section there, just loop it through and tie a knot on each end so that I can hang it from the front door. I'm then going to be adding this buffalo check ribbon. I'm just going to make 2 loops, tie that in a knot there, and then I'm going to thread back through the tail ends of the ribbon so that we can create a double bow. This is just a really simple way of doing it. You could go a bit more elaborate if you wanted, but I felt like keeping it a bit simpler was the best idea here. So just pulling that through and then pulling it tight. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to be attaching it to the sled itself just with some hot glue up the top there and then pressing it down. Finally, I'm also going to add some little festive picks that I had in my stash. I wanted to bring in a little bit of green. Obviously, we're going for that Christmas in July look, so I'm going to add a little bit of green here and just glue that in place. I trimmed the ends of the bow, and then this project is done. The Creality Falcon2 Pro 60-watt laser made this such an easy project. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Next, I'm going to be creating some festive bells. I am keeping with the same settings, loving how quick I'm able to cut out on this 60-watt laser setting. And again, it just cuts through so quickly. If you are going to invest in a laser, this would definitely make life a lot easier for you if you're going to be cutting craft blanks. Once I have taken all my pieces out, I'm going to use some super glue again to glue them together. And this is a very fun craft. You're able to come in and add stars, or you can leave them out. You can also change the direction of this centerpiece here. So for this one, I have it sort of going under. On the other one, however, after gluing the stars down on that one, I am going to actually change the orientation of the center part, which definitely gives the other bell a bit of a different look. So this is something that you can sort of have a play with and see what works for your project. So we're not going to attach any other stars to this one just yet. We're going to be moving on to painting. Now I want the little parts there that I'm painting to look shadowed and recessed, so I'm adding some black chalk paint in those on each of the bells. On this one here, I'm adding a creamy sort of chalk paint. I wanted to go for a lighter color with this one, so I'm going to paint that over the top of the entire piece. I am being careful not to get that cream paint down into the shadowed sections that we painted. On the other one, I'm going with a classic red, but I'm definitely not going for full coverage. I want this to have quite a rustic finish to it, so I am just going to do one coat. Again, being careful not to get that paint down in the black chalk painted sections. Next, I'm going to be using some bronze metallic paint. I'm just starting off adding it to the loop up the top, but then I did decide to also carry it over the edges of the bell just to add a little bit of shine, and then I'm going to go around the edges of the star. I was just going to concentrate the bronze color on the edges to start off with, but decided to go in and also add it to some of the other edges, and also just go over the center part, sort of like a messy coat. Again, just going for that rustic look, but I definitely do love to use metallics when I'm doing a Christmas themed craft. I think that it just, having that little bit of shine just definitely adds a bit of magic. So just going around the edges here, also adding a bit more of that bronze to the center section there. And you will notice that I do take out a wet wipe, and I'm going to use that to sort of blend that metallic paint a little bit more. And then I did also add some more of it around the edge of the white bell as well. Moving on to the red bell, and I'm going to add that bronze up the top just like we did with the first one, going over the edges of that as well. And then once I had done that, I actually decided to grab one of the stars that we didn't glue down. I've painted it red, and then when that was dry, I went in with some of the bronze. Again, we are going for a bit of a rustic look, but I feel like adding the metallic gives it a bit more of a festive feel. I'm also going over the edges of some of the red bell as well, and then gluing that lovely little star in place. I want these to be hanging, so I'm going to add some twine to each of them. I've doubled it over, and now I'm just going to tie a knot. You could definitely come in with a bit more festive ribbon if you wanted. And then I decided to take out this sort of burlap style ribbon. I'm just going to loop it over and just tie just a simple bow here for this one. And I'm going to be gluing that in place up the top. I'm also going to repeat the same process for the other bow as well, just using hot glue to glue those in place. This particular ribbon has wire in it, so I was able to sort of bend and kink those ribbons to give them a bit of a fun twist. I'm also going to add a couple of festive picks to this one. I'll use just a dab of hot glue to secure those in place as well. And here's a look at our festive laser cut bells. I think they look really, really sweet in a tree, but obviously they would look cute in any vignette. Let me know what you think of these in the comments. For my final project, I wanted to highlight not just the speed, but obviously the power of the laser, and also show you that you can use the built-in Creality Falcon camera to really make sure that you have positioned your designs perfectly. You can batch create with this. You could put in multiple ornaments even, and then have your text on them. As you can see, I'm just using the Creality Falcon camera here to position this design here. It's kind of a Gable design that I wanted to create, and I'm going to input how wide where my project material is. And then the Falcon camera is going to show me exactly where it's going to go. It takes the guesswork out, and you can be very, very precise using this camera. So I'm just repositioning the design. This is actually a 20 mil thick pine that we're going to be cutting. And I'm going to go in and just double check my levels as well, making sure that I have it set for the right width. And I'll also make sure that I have it set on that 60 watt option. So I'm going to remove my little device there for making sure I have the right height. And as you can see here, it is cutting through beautifully. It only took 3 passes for it to cut through. Now I'm going to be using a texture additive with some brown chalk paint. I'm going to mix those together. I want this to have quite an antiqued look to it. I know this isn't strictly Christmas, but it is definitely something that would look great in a Christmas vignette anyway. I'm then going to go in and dab in my paint and texture additive product. I'm dabbing that all over my pine that we've cut here, my Gable design. So what I'm envisioning is this is sort of like a Gable shelf sitter. I'm then going to take out some milk paint. I'm mixing equal part milk paint with water. I find milk paint definitely gives me that antiqued vintage look really easily. I'm then going to stir it really, really well. And then I'm going to be applying that with a chip brush over the top of our dried texture medium. And as you can see, the laser really just cut this so beautifully, so precisely, and it was definitely a lot easier than me having to try and get a jigsaw to make all those fine lines and cuts. So I'm actually going to do 2 coats of this, and front and back, and anytime I'm using milk paint, I also like to bring in a hairdryer, and I like to speed up that drying process to help create chipping and cracking, and just to really give that authentically aged look. When my 2 coats of paint were dry, I took out a wet wipe and started doing some wet distressing, really focusing on the beautiful curves and also focusing on pulling back some of the lumps and bumps that were in that milk paint for an authentically aged look. I did then take this outside and I sealed it with a coat of matte spray sealer. And here's a look at our Gable shelf sitter. It is amazing how easily and quickly the 60 watt Creality Falcon2 Pro laser cut this. It made making this design so easy. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. I really hope that you've enjoyed today's video and that it's shown you the amazing things that you can create using the Falcon2 Pro 60 watt laser. If you'd like to get your own Falcon2 Pro laser for your small business, make sure you check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you would hit that like button, comment, and share it out. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, and you can find the paint products used today on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.